Shalom, Shavua Tov, everybody. Welcome to a new week of the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, as I bring you those top stories that make those headlines every Monday to Thursday. And just a gentle reminder, if you want to view our original content, you can do so on our website. It looks a little bit like this. And you can find us at www.layoftheland.online. On social media, where we have quite an active presence, you will find us on Facebook at Lottel Site. Now, I know many of you are complaining that there are a lot of ads that are preventing you from seeing our content, which we post on a daily basis. But check out our site, give us a like or a follow, share our content, and don't forget to check in with us every day. We are also on YouTube at the Israel Brief, and if you like us, please consider clicking on the red subscribe button. And we're also on Twitter at layoftheland5. So let's get into those top stories, and we begin with a rare phone call between President Biden and Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. This took place last night. It is the third time the two leaders have spoken since Prime Minister Bennett took office last May. So what was discussed? You want to know? Well, let me tell you. The two leaders discussed, amongst many things, the current standoff between the Ukraine and Russia, as well as steps that are needed to prevent Iran from becoming nuclear power. Now, Israel is concerned that the Biden administration will push the United States into some kind of treaty that won't be tough enough on Iran. And while we're only privy to the point that they had a conversation about this, we don't know the exact points that were made. The Prime Minister also congratulated the President on his taking out or eliminating of an ISIS leader, and was reassured by President Biden that he will fully support the replenishment of Israel's Iron Dome systems. These are a defensive system that really save both Palestinian and Israeli lives in the event of a volley of missiles or projectiles being fired at Israel. The Prime Minister also invited President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden to visit Israel, and the President is rumored to have said, "We look forward to seeing you later this year." Now, in other news, and this I see as a diplomatic win for Israel, Israel was granted observer status at the African Union just a while ago. Now, this allows Israel the ability to be an observer. The Palestinians have observer status, as so do, by the way, Greece and China, as well as several other countries. Now, observer status does not allow you any voting rights or ability to propose resolutions. However, the Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh, along with Algeria and South Africa, have been lobbying the AU to cancel Israel's observer status. Now, South Africa, in their declaration of their foreign policy at the end of last year, put this as one of their priority issues that they will embark on. Well, yesterday this went to a vote, and after a very, very impassioned speech by the chairman of the AU, Musa Mohammed, who spoke about the importance of Israel having observer status, how much Israel has to contribute to the continent of Africa. He said 44 African states already recognize Israel. There are 17 African countries with embassies that are either in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv, and 12 have general consuls. He spoke about the tremendous contribution that Israel makes on a daily basis to Israel. And at the end of a very, very tense debate, it was decided that any vote that would cancel Israel's observer status will be delayed if it comes to that. But in the meantime, a committee will get together and reassess and look at the situation over the next year. Now, some people think that this is not a big diplomatic win for Israel because Israel's status is still up for debate. However, this is a big win against elements and states like the Algerians and the South Africans who wanted to bully Israel out of having their observer status. So the way I see it, it is a diplomatic win for Israel. We still continue to have observer status, and this is unlikely to change, I think, in the next coming year. Now, last week we spoke about Palestinian youth in Gaza taking to social media platforms or going online to embark on a campaign which they call They Kidnapped Gaza. In fact, they are running it with the hashtag Kidnapped Gaza. During this campaign, which is a rare opportunity for young people to express their dismay, they heavily criticize Hamas for the lack of good governance. Now, they do also criticize Israel for the restrictions that are placed on the Gaza Strip, and we mustn't forget that Egypt also has placed restrictions on the Gaza Strip. The main area of focus of criticism is Hamas. They blame Hamas for using the billions in aid that have been donated by countries around the world and organizations around the world, rather, to line their pockets instead of building much needed infrastructure and making sure that Palestinians have food, have jobs, have electricity, and have adequate water. We will be closely monitoring these protests to see how they progress. And our final story takes us to the United Kingdom, and yesterday President Herzog joined world leaders and many around the world in congratulating Her Most Gracious Majesty the Queen on reaching 70 years of her reign. This is an extraordinary and historic achievement. This makes the British monarch the longest reigning monarch in British history. Yesterday was her Ascension Day, which coincides and is bittersweet as it coincides with the passing of her father, King George, and her ascension to the throne. President Herzog, who himself has a notable history in the United Kingdom, praised the monarch for her powerful sense of duty and a lifetime of service to the public. And we just want to join in echoing our president's warm words. Mazel Tov, ma'am. An incredible achievement. 70 years, your Platinum Jubilee. And I'm sure many of us will look forward to joining your events later this year as celebrations kick off. So those are our top stories for today. Don't forget to check in with us tomorrow, where you will get your headlines from Israel, brought to you as always by Lay of the Land and hosted by myself, Rolene Marks. So wherever you are in the world, I just want to take this opportunity to remind you to please join our various social media communities and check in with us tomorrow. Meanwhile, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm Rolene Marks. Little out until tomorrow.